you need to watch this one. If you're struggling to make sales in that design room with your clients, if people are coming in, they're just buying a couple of prints, they like what you're offering, but they just don't want to purchase it for whatever reason. It's too expensive, they just don't have the budget, they don't know where it's going to go, then this is the one video you need to watch. It's such a massive game changer. It's not that complicated, but it can be scary. There needs to be a light bulb moment with this video where you go, okay, I get it, I know what I'm doing. Think about your clients. They're coming into your design room. Does this sound familiar? They come into your design room, they've loved the shoot, they've loved the experience, they love the pictures. You ask them what are they going to do with them, and they turn around and go, we're just probably going to do a couple of prints, or we're thinking of 3 10x8s, or we've already got our own frames at home, or maybe just a few digitals. They don't want to go for everything. They do want them all. If you said, look, I have a special offer on today, you buy 1 digital and I'll give you everything else for free, they'd snatch your hand off, you wouldn't sell anything else. So they do want them. The problem is that it will come down to a few things. One, they're not sure what they're going to do with their pictures yet. Now, most people know that they want the pictures. They probably want 1 or 2 pictures going on the wall at home, but they see 30 or 40 pictures from you and they're like, I don't want to buy them all because I don't know what I'm going to do with all of them. Or they're scared of making the wrong choice. What if I buy this and it's not the right size for where I want to put it? Or what if I buy 2 of these and it turns out that, you know, I needed a 3rd one and I don't have that option. So you know what, rather than make a mistake and waste some money, I'll just go for a safe bet and get a couple of pictures and do my own frames at home. So we're going to turn that on its head. Now when we do this, it's in the design room. Now we've actually already planted this throughout our phone calls and also throughout our photo shoot as well. And I'll go in how you do that and you just drop it into a nice little conversation. But if you think about it, what you're offering your clients at the moment is, you know, really stunning, beautiful photography. That's what you shoot. And obviously they like it. Otherwise they wouldn't have booked in with you in the first place. So that's not the issue. You're obviously offering albums and frames and canvases and things like that. And they're stunning, they're gorgeous, better than what they're going to go and get down at IKEA or any other type of different shop. So, you know, why aren't they buying? So we go back to what we just said then, and then also on top of that, you're just trying to sell a product at this point. You know, the client's looking at your pictures on the wall and they're going, yeah, they're pretty. Oh yeah, that's a pretty frame. Yeah, that would look nice. And that's it, you're just selling the product. It's easy to say no to that. What we want to do is try and sell the solution, try and sell the end point and what it's going to do for them. Now, the way that we do that, we don't want to sell that this is a nice picture, you know, in a nice frame. We want to go, and this here would look great on that wall you were telling me about above the sofa, or on that wall you were telling me about above the sideboard in the dining room, something like that. So we need to get to that point and we need to get the client to tell us. Now, our client won't always offer up this information. If the conversation's going right in the shoot and stuff, maybe they will give that, but we need to get it out. So the way that we would do that is we would do our package offer and ask them which one it is that they want to go for. Now at this point, when they give you their answer, it doesn't matter what they say. If they turn around and go, we're just doing the 2 prints, or if they turn around and go, well actually we will do the big package, it doesn't matter. The response is always the same, and we would go, fantastic, so at least we know we're not leaving empty-handed. Now, and this is where the visualization starts. We're going to ask them where they're going to put it, we're going to get them to describe the room for us, and we're going to get excited with them where it's going. It's really important in this that we do not throw any sales into this part of the experience. As soon as we start to go, well, what about have you thought this frame on that wall? It instantly becomes a salesy part and clients' defenses will go back up. The idea here is to give them that reassurance that, great, you know what you're doing. And it gets them to relax and they'll enjoy the whole experience more. And if they enjoy it more, they will spend more with you. For you though, in this part, there is a reason we're doing it. We want to gather information on the layout of the room because your clients are not the experts, okay? They have an idea that they want something in the house. However, you're the expert. You're not just a photographer, you're also an interior designer, if you like, because you know in your studio or your home setup that when you've put wall art on the wall to try and sell to the client, you haven't just gone and grabbed that big 30 by 40 inch frame and put it on the wall there and gone, boom, that'll do. You've looked at everything behind you and gone, right, what's here? Where does it need positioning and on the wall? You know, what's the height? Is it the right type of frame with the furniture that's there? Because the idea is that you want to sell that. So you had an idea, and that's why you bought that piece of wall art to display to try and sell. So you have got more expertise in this area than what the client does. The only thing is that the client is in control of their money and they also know what the house looks like. So we need to get that information from them so we can then use that later on in the design process. So I'm going to turn around now. I'm going to reassure them that's a great idea. What room is it going in? And you know, what wall is it going on? Okay, now there's certain questions that we've got to put in there, because if I turn around and say to a client, okay, so brilliant, we know we're not leaving empty-handed, where are you going to put these? They will respond with, I don't really know at the moment, we're not too sure, that's why we're just getting a couple, that's why we're getting digitals, we haven't really thought about it. All these sorts of excuses will come out. So for us, we're now going to layer our questions. So layering a question means that I'm going to ask a question, but then another question straight on top. And then if need be, another question straight on top. And I'm going to keep doing that until I get to the answer that I want. So for me, when I ask a client where are they going to put it, it's an open-ended question and can go anywhere. Well, one in the office, one's going to work, and maybe grandparents are going to get one. You know, they could say that. Or they could go, they're all going in the nursery. Or X, Y, Z. They could keep going on and on. Okay, so what I want to get to is a specific room. So I can't just turn around and go, right, are you putting these in the living room? Again, they could say no. I could say, you put them in the dining room. They could say no. So what I will do is layer my questions. And when each time I layer a question, I'm going to go like this so you can see the layering of the question. So I'm going to turn around. This is how my visualization would go. Amazing. So at least we know we're not leaving empty-handed then. So what are you thinking of doing with these pictures? Most people will put them in a room that they spend the most time together as a family. So where's that for you? Is that the living room, the dining room, or the kitchen? So can you see there was 3 questions there? So I'll do that again. So I would go, fantastic. So we know we're not leaving empty-handed. So where are you guys thinking of putting them? Question 1. I don't let them answer, I will throw my second layered question. Most people will put them in a room that they spend the most time together as a family. So where's that for you? Okay, now again, I could get a number of different responses. But for us selling wall art, it tends to go in one of 3 places: the living room, the kitchen, the dining room. So what I'm going to do is add my third layer of question. And so my open-ended question that could have come with any response, all of a sudden through layering, becomes a multiple choice: living room, kitchen, dining room. Okay, so it's important that I get them to choose one of these rooms. And again, you know, when we do this layering, it never falters. It's always those 3 layers for me. So I'll do it all from scratch. Okay, so amazing. So we know we're not leaving empty-handed. So what are we thinking of doing with our pictures? Where are they going to go? Most people put them in a room that they spend the most time together as a family. So where's that for you? Is that the living room, the kitchen, or the dining room? Boom. So now they give me one of those responses. So we're going to go for the easy one. We're going to turn around and the client's going to go, oh, probably the living room. Fantastic. So now I want to get, on the next part of this, I want to get an idea for the layout of the room. Now, this has 2 purposes. One, business-wise for me, I get to feel what the room's like. Okay, so they will tell me there's a sofa here, TV, whatever else. But I get an idea of what the room looks like and where the wall art would go, which is really important, because if I'm trying to sell a nice big, say, 30 by 40 inch frame, but they don't have the room for it because of the way the layout of the living room is, I'm never going to sell it. It's going to be a very easy no for them. But if I know there's an alcove, so I've actually had this situation where they just didn't have the room because they already had stuff set up, but they had a fireplace with 2 alcoves. And so they were looking for something to go above the fireplace, but instead we sold 2 pieces of wall art for more money to go into the alcoves because they already had a big mirror on the fireplace. And the client loved it and thanked us because actually it looked amazing and it finished the room. But I was able to make a bigger sale because I knew what the room looked like. So a lot of people struggle with this next bit as well, because they're like, oh, I don't know what questions to ask. So I'm trying to figure out what the room looks like, okay? So that I know that if I'm gonna try and sell a piece, I know that that piece will fit the room, okay? So that makes my job as a salesperson a lot easier. Now for the client, this is really important. For the client, if we can get them to anchor a product on the wall above the sofa, or on the wall above the fireplace, or on the wall above the sideboard, somewhere in the house, if they start to see the end point, then that's the solution that they need for them completing the room. And that is what will sell and turn that client to go from, I don't want the pretty pictures in the pretty frame because it's just, you know, it's out of my budget. It will turn them from a, right, I can see it above the sofa, I want it. Can I have that please? That'll look perfect above there. Okay, so what we're doing now is we're going to get them to anchor something in their room. Okay, now we don't do it in this part of the visualization. This is brought up later on, okay? Because it's very important that this is kept sales free at this point. It's just information gathering for us, and then for the client, reassurance that, you know, what they're doing is right, okay? So in this scenario, the client's going for 2 prints, okay? Very rubbish sale. So I'll go through from start to finish on this, okay? So I'll do this last bit first, and then I'll do the full run of all of it. So, okay, so the idea of this bit now is that we're going to get them to describe their living room. So the client is over here, okay, or let's say you're the client and we're projecting onto this wall here with our pictures, okay? Okay, fantastic. So in the living room, right, in your living room right now, just so we can get an idea of where these are going to go and how they're going to look, like describe your room to me. Now again, I'm not going to stop at that because I'll go, well, we've got a door, 4 walls, TV and a sofa, okay? I'm going to layer my questions, okay? And I'm going to make this so simple. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with them because they'll be sat down. So I'm going to say you're sat on your sofa because then they can relate to that. I'm going to say what's in front of you rather than describe the room. And then I'm going to go around the room 1 wall at a time. Where's the door? Where's the window? It's fantastic. It's just an overview. I don't need to know the wallpaper. I don't need to know the lighting. I don't need to know the color of the furniture. I don't need to know anything in that room other than just the actual layout. That is it, okay? I don't want to be too nosy. I just want to get enough information on what's on this wall, what's on that wall. So let's put it into practice, okay? Amazing, so we know we're not leaving empty-handed. So where are you thinking of putting these? Most people will put them in the room that they spend the most time together as a family. So where's that for you? Is that the living room, kitchen, dining room? The living room, fantastic. Okay, right, so just describe it to me so we make sure we get the right pictures for you. So you're in your living room on your sofa now, you're sat there, what's on the wall opposite you? So you got TV, so is that on the wall or on a unit? It's on the wall, fantastic. Okay, and then what have you got on this wall over here? Okay, so that one, you don't have anything on there at the moment. You've got a sideboard there and a 2-seater sofa. What's on that wall behind the sofa now at the moment? That's blank, okay. And then what's over here? You've got the door and you've got a window. Okay, right, fantastic. Right, superb, right. So that gives me an idea. Where are we thinking of putting these 2 pictures? They're gonna go on the sideboard over here. Brilliant, okay, right. Let's go through and we'll get your short list together and we'll find all your favorites and make sure that we get the right ones that work together. So you'll see from that, even though I know there's a blank wall behind them and there's a blank wall here, I'm not saying, have you thought about putting something on the walls nice and big? That's not this point, but it's in my mindset for later, for when I design some wall art, and then I go, do you know what, that would look great just on that wall, or that would look great behind that bit. Does that make sense? It's really important that you understand why this works the way it does. So if you're not getting it, watch this video again and go through it, okay? So, now, once I've got that information, I turn around, I sit down with them, we go through all the pictures and we start choosing stuff. Now you'll notice as well, when they said they've got a TV on this wall over here, I didn't ask what's the rest of the wall like, because they may have nice big space here and here, we could get something there, but there's a big distraction, which is a TV, and that'll be the biggest thing on the wall probably, on what they're looking at. On top of that, if we're going to put something at the side, I'm restricted to wall space. So again, I'm not really fussed, but I can bring it back up if I need to. If they say they've got pictures on here and they've got pictures on there, that's not a problem. Now, I wouldn't stress going, oh my gosh, they've got pictures everywhere, so I can't sell anything. Of course you can. If they didn't need any more pictures or want more pictures, they wouldn't have come to see you. So they clearly are already a few steps ahead of you if you're thinking that. Now again, you need to know what the pictures are. Let's say they're just canvases from a local store of just flowers. Something like that, they bought before they had kids or whatever, and it's just on the wall. Okay, well, they could come down and get something up that's meaningful of the family. Okay, let's say it is other pictures that they got done, I don't know, maybe a couple of years ago or maybe last year, and they get new photos every single year. Okay, well, I don't want to say take them down because they might have spent a lot of money on that, and that could be another barrier that we can't get past. But I may say, how about we take those and we repurpose them, maybe in the hallway or maybe on the other wall or wherever we want to. But I don't want to say get rid of them. I will say repurpose them somewhere else. So then the client is like, oh, actually, I have that space that we've not spoke about in the bedroom or on the landing or in the hallway or in the dining room, and actually I can get this what I want. Okay, that makes sense? So this is a really important part of our design process. It's probably the most important part of our design process. We go through kind of our opening line, we go through our packages, we go through the recap, we do whatever our offer might be, but this is the bit that will turn a freebie seeker into a nice big spend. Even if it's not your top package, they will still go, well, actually, I do want something on that wall that you spoke about earlier, and so I do want to get something. So it makes the designing bit and the salesy bit that comes up later in the design a hell of a lot easier. Okay, difficult one today, definitely worth watching over and over again to get your head around it. And if you're struggling with it, please put a comment in, let me know, and if we need to do like a one-on-one, I can train you on that. That's not a problem at all. I hope you found this useful in this little mini series that we're doing for the design room. What I will do at the end of all of this is probably a nice big run through of how our design room is set up, and then how we go with a client right from the very start all the way to the very end. And it's such a nice design storyboard. The client is getting sold to at every single point, but they have no idea about it. It's engineered and put together to keep the experience level really nice and high for them, but make it super easy for you so that you can try and sell, and it's okay to hear no. It takes away all that pressure. When you start to relax, the sales go up. So that's what this is all about. Hope you found this useful. Please let me know if there's anything else you want me to cover in my next video, and I will see you on the next one. Take care, guys. Bye.